Okay, WCS 2024 qualifiers top decks. I've already looked over these, but I know they've also added some since I last looked over. I think we only have the regional... Yes, we only have this one list from Japan. But I mean, right off the bat, you can see Fire King Snake Eye, and we are going to see a lot of it. I think the amount of Fire King Snake Eye that we see does mean that this deck needs a hit in some regard. But again... Or, you know, as I've said before, I don't think any of the Fire King cards are the hit. I don't think Fire King as an engine, as a deck, is problematic. And I think Snake Eye, again, as we're going to see a lack of pure Snake Eye decks, is effectively curved. I do think it's Promethean Princess. And that second Princess is going to show up in a lot of these lists. That doesn't mean I think we should limit it. I think we should ban it, but... This card's absurd. Like, okay, I started thinking about it this way this morning for the first time, too. Like, compare Promethean Princess to Chaos Ruler. This card is so much more insane, because that's something that I've heard people say is like, oh, Light and Dark have broken stuff, let's just let the Fire have a broken card, too. But we took Chaos Ruler away from Light and Dark, and when you compare Promethean Princess to Chaos Ruler, like, they both have the ability to revive themselves, but Princess can also revive another fire monster, and it can destroy an opponent's card. Whereas Chaos Ruler had the Excavate, and I can tell you from someone who played a lot of Chaos Ruler, the Excavate, while a very nice bonus, was not ever required, like as part of your combo line. Any combo line that played Chaos Ruler, you would just assume you whiffed on the Excavate. Especially because even if you didn't whiff, you know, even if you found something, you wouldn't be able to guarantee what it is. But, yeah, when you compare the upsides, I feel like Promethean Princess is a lot easier to make. Like, a generic Link 3, much easier to make than a level 8 Synchro, which requires specific levels and a tuner, and this is entirely generic. You don't even need a fire monster to make it, so... Yeah, when you compare them in that regard, I think it's pretty clear that Promethean Princess is, like, far better. And if Chaos Ruler's, good enough to be banned, which I do think it is, as much as it breaks my heart, then, like, why is Promethean Princess, tolerable? Why does she not require fire monsters? Exactly. Why does she not require fire monsters? Why does she only firelock you while she's on the field? Why does her graveyard effect work when you summon a monster to your opponent's field? It doesn't say when your opponent summons a monster. You can summon monsters to your opponent's field and it works. Why does the graveyard effect work when one of the targets leaves the field? Why does this card have a disruption graveyard effect at all? It's insane. It's actually insane. Konami gonna be like, the best I could do is ban Ambler Whale. I've seen some people say to ban Zealantis, which I don't think is a hit at all. I think it's kind of wild to ban Zealantis while Promethean Princess exists. I think this is the hit. The more I think about it, the more and more convinced I am. But when you actually look at the Fire King Snake Eye lists, they're all pretty standard from what I remember. I think a lot of them are on Prosp, which is pretty interesting. I don't usually see Prosp or play it myself, but yeah, let's keep looking at some of these decks here. Rescue Ace ended up being global rank 1. 45 cards playing Gamma. A lot of these decks on Gamma, I don't know. I've had my beef with Gamma in the past, but maybe it's time to give Gamma a little bit more of a chance, Pretty standard looking list. I don't really see anything here that's like super out of the ordinary. I like Celine. I like the Celine. Oh, thank you for the gift sub, anonymous gifter, which has gone to Toadette. Awesome. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I think Celine and Access Code line is very, very good in Rescue Ace. I like it quite a bit. Here we are seeing Fire King. Oh, one other thing I wanted to keep track of is if we have, are we going to see any of these lists that aren't on Olkinix? Because while I do still think, like, if you don't have the URs to craft old Garunix, like, you can definitely play Fire King Snake Eye without Olkinix and do well. You can get away with that, but, like, Olkinix is so good that I think we're going to see it in every single list, and I think every single list probably should be on it. So as we look at Fire King Snake Eye lists, I kind of want to pay attention to Olkinix and double Princess, and maybe even Prosp, because I see it again here too. Gamma as well. I want to keep track of Gammas in general. Alright, global rank 4 ended up being Despia with the Gimmick Puppet lock. That's another... I wasn't even really thinking about this, but this is another card that I do think should be banned. And I don't know. To be fair, Puppet Lock isn't something that's as much of an issue in Master Duel as it is in Best of 3 format, but I do think that Sanctifier is the ban. One thing that I have been kind of educated on, because one example I've used in the past is DD Orthos does a Lingering Fiend lock, but I've been informed that you actually don't use DD Orthos because you can't send it off of the Granganol, but there is an Archfiend you can send off of Granganol that also Lingering Fiend locks, and I think for that reason, you can't just, because a lot of people of course say, why not just ban Gimmick Puppet Nightmare? That solves the issue. Well, the answer, and then it doesn't, because again, there is still, I don't remember the card's exact name, I wish I did off the top of my head, but there is an Archfiend monster you can send off of Granganol that you can Albion onto your opponent's field and just put them in a Fiend lock. And while Fiend is not quite as oppressive as, you know, Gimmick Puppet, still being locked into only being able to summon Fiend monsters is going to put, you know, like 90% of decks unable to do anything. So I think that the answer is just that Albion Sanctifier has to get banned. This is one of the very few circumstances in which I would be fine with an errata. If it just negated the monster it put onto your opponent's field, this card would be fine. Like, it would be 100% fine. Because, like, it shouldn't negate both monsters because, yeah, the point is to summon Albaz to your field and then be able to fuse, right? I think that's a good, you know, thing that the deck should be able to do. But if this card just negated the monster effect that it puts on your opponent's field, it would be 100% fine. But because of that one detail, it's actually not fine at all. I mean, this isn't even the only example we see of summoning to the opponent's field being an issue. Look again at Promethean Princess. Particularly Salamangreat, but other decks too, have the ability to summon the monsters to your opponent's field, and when you do that, that triggers the Promethean Princess. It's like, why is that a thing? Why is that a thing that's allowed? So I think that's an example of power creep that Konami's definitely going to have to watch in the future, is like, cards that can summon to your opponent's field are potentially, and honestly easily, pretty problematic. So summon doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to say. So if the summoned monster doesn't have Fallen of Albaz in its tech, it is negated. That is a way that you could phrase it. But I think it would also just probably be simpler just to negate the monster that is just summoned to your opponent's field. Because then you could still maybe get the benefit of a monster summoned to your field that doesn't have Albaz in the text, but that is a good potential call for that as well. Salads can't put down a card that locks your opponent. No, but Salads do have Weasel. The example I was going for there is that Salads have Weasel, which can put Balanx on your opponent's field to trigger Promethean Princess. That's why Promethean Princess is also kind of a problem for being able to summon to your opponent's field. Like, Albion is a problem for being able to summon to your opponent's field. I'm not one-to-one comparing the lock, just the fact that cards that can summon to your opponent's field, in general, as an overlying theme, might be a bit of an issue to keep looking at moving forward. Alright, here is another Fire King Snake Eye. 3 Ulcanix on this one, no Prosperity, only 1 Promethean Princess. They're playing Galaxy Lord as well, which is pretty interesting. But definitely makes sense because we have a lot more rank 8 plays when you have old Grunix as well as new. Let's see, this one's on double Promethean, 2 Ulcanix, no Prosp. No Gammas on either of those last ones either. Another Fire King Snake Eye, yep, Prosp. Triple Ulcanix, double Princess, no Gamma. Another Rescue Ace, this one on 42 cards, also on Gamma. I actually think Gamma does make a lot of sense in Rescue Ace now that I think about it. Because of, like, emergency. Or not even emergency, that's not what I meant. Because of, like, the Preventer, that's the one I was trying to think of. I could see how maybe it would be useful for that. Or just in general, I don't know. Okay, here's our first Tearlament deck. Pretty standard Purrely, you could even call it. Which I've kind of suspected is probably just the best way to play this deck. They're on card destruction, which is pretty interesting. Like, I think that playing stuff like Rev Synchron and the Horus cards are cool, but I think that this kind of, again, more standard-ish tier build is definitely like more consistent overall, and of course in best of one consistency ends up being the best thing to go for. And with the Winda as well. Fun fact, I've still never crafted a Winda, despite playing Tearlament every now and then. I just, like, I don't know. It's not even for, like, I don't want to use a Floodgate. It's mostly just because, like, I don't want to craft... I don't feel like I played Tearlament enough to warrant crafting Winda. Although, honestly, I should have just done it by this point. If I had done it when Tearlament first came out, the Winda would have gotten enough play to have been worth it. So now I'm in, like, what is it? Just this, like, mental circle where I'm like, well, I haven't played it up to this point, so I just won't craft it. And then the longer I don't craft it, the more not worth it to craft it is. I don't know if that makes any sense, but... Sunk cost. It's kind of like the opposite of sunk cost. I was trying to think of sunk cost fallacy, but I guess it's sunk cost fallacy in reverse. If that makes any sense. Oh, actually, hang on. This one's on double Original Sin and a double Garunix and double Ponix. Now, this is something I did hear about over the weekend. I think Trishula, or somebody that I know, I saw them like talking about builds that were doubling up on Ponix and Garunix. Maybe it was Jeff. I don't remember who it was, but I don't know what the exact reason for that is off the top of my head. I would assume just for maybe some more follow-up, maybe in case they banish your one of... Because I will say, if you get your Sacred Fire King Garunix like banished or put in the spell trap zone by Subversion, it can be really hard for this deck to have follow-up. So I can definitely see playing a second copy. That does not seem like an awful idea. This is also a build... Okay, it is on Ulcanix. I was going to say a build that's not on Ulcanix, but no, we do have it right here. 2 Sanctuary as well, wow. And Fire King Island. They just doubled up on everything. But again, that does really help with the grind games. I could definitely see that like really being a thing the higher up you get in the Duelist Cup. Oh yeah, I'm eager to get to the Synchro Pile deck. Don't you worry, we will talk about that one. Another Fire King Snake Eye list, triple Ulcanix. 3 Ulcanix, I think, just makes sense. The card is so good to open. Like, if you open Ulcanix and Bonfire, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. It's probably, like, the best opening hand you can get. Here we go. Okay, yep. So, this person, not on 1, but 2 Synchro Pile decks. On the left, we have... Looks like Adventure, Grass, Synchron, Super Heavy Samurai. On the right, we have a list that we're going to see quite a bit of here, which I don't even know how to describe it. It's also Adventure, Synchron, Snake Eye, Super Heavy Samurai, with the Harpy's Featherstorm, searchable off of the Cyber Slash. It's also got a Praying Mantis, sendable off of the Diablantis. This is like what I love about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I know a lot of people don't like... Oh, and TGs! Don't forget that we're playing a TG package as well. I know that some people don't like decks like this, but to me, this is everything I love about Yu-Gi-Oh! Right here. I love it. Yes, I love it when people cook like this. Yes, exactly. 3 Fairy Tale Snow. Wow, I didn't even realize that till just now. But I love when people mix a bunch of different archetypes together and come up with a pile like this, because one thing that does kind of annoy me about modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Design overall, and I haven't really talked about this too much, but like, I'm not like the biggest fan of archetypes. Like, I do think it is really cool that there's all these like thematic, elements in Yu-Gi-Oh! And like, oh, if you like something, you get to play a deck of it in Yu-Gi-Oh! But one thing I kind of don't like about archetypes is that sometimes, especially, this is, I think, that it's most true when a deck has an archetypal lock, is that sometimes it just kind of feels like Konami builds the deck for you. And I don't know, I really like the ability to kind of like push beyond the bounds of that, so to speak. Like, oh, I have a Blackwing deck, so of course, let me look at all the Blackwing cards and put the best Blackwing cards into my Blackwing deck, I'm just picking a random archetype here. But then, like, being able to just see how different archetypes and their tools can interact with one another, I think this is really cool. This to me is like what I love about deck building and Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just, it's so good. And it's almost always a synchro deck, which I love synchro summoning too. That cooks these cool pile decks. And it's kind of why I'm not as much of a fan as a lot of other people about banning stuff like Baron and Borreload, which just like doesn't even play Borreload, in the TCG, because these, these pile decks are pretty reliant on generic extra deck monsters to be able to make their boards with. And like, I do agree that like Baron should not be better than a lot of like archetype extra deck monsters, but I also think that a lot of archetype extra deck monsters are just really weak. So I don't know. I do have a bias. I will not be afraid to admit that. But I don't know. I just really like that. Generic tools like Snow. Like, again, a lot of this extra deck here do enable pretty cool brews like this. And this isn't even a one-off thing, right? We're gonna see, like, so many of this deck in particular. I don't know, it's interesting. I don't know if it's, like, a cultural thing, maybe in, like, other, like, non-English speaking areas. This is a kind of deck that shows up more often that we're just not aware of. Maybe it was a bunch of people who collaborated together on this list. Either way, I love that there's innovation like this, and I just love how well that people cooked here. Alright, here is the first of actually many Purrely decks, and I do think this is likely why Purrely end up getting hit on the ban list, right? Because we're going to see, again, a great number of Purrely lists here. I knew that Purrely was a good Tier 2 deck, but the number of Purrely decks that actually made top 100 kind of seemed to indicate that, along with Tearlaments, Purrely might actually just be at the top of Tier 2. So, again, I suspect that's why they went after Purrely with the semi-limit, but I don't think it was, like, super warranted either. I think Delicious being at 1 is enough of a hit, and I do think that Delicious should probably just be at 1. But I think that is the only hit that Purrely needs. I think with Delicious at 1, it's probably just fine to have. I mean, these are the only other 2 hits, and I think these cards being at 3 would not be a problem at all. We got a second Zeus, yeah. I guess they did get a second Zeus, right? If Purrely can manage to fit it into the extra deck there. Another Purrely list here directly below the last one, right? Yep. Next one down. Running a single Shaddoll Beast for the draws, which I've never really been a fan of playing a card in Purrely specifically to discard, but I will say, if you're gonna do it, I think the one of Shaddoll Beast is definitely better than playing like 3 Snow and a Brow. I've never been. That's like too many slots to dedicate to like discard outlets, but maybe 1 Shaddoll Beast is fine. I'm still not the biggest fan of that though. Otherwise, I mean, these Purrely lists are very standard. It's just the Purrely stuff and hand traps, and that's definitely enough to get you there a lot of the time, so. Alright, here is actually one of the few pure Snake Eye lists that we're going to see, is this one right here. But as you can see, it was really alternated here with a Fire King Snake Eye list, and one of my biggest takeaways from looking at the top 100 Duelist Cup decks is just how little pure Snake Eye there actually is. I was pretty convinced that, like, the fact that I wasn't seeing a lot of pure Snake Eye on ladder was simply indicative of the fact that, maybe that's just my own personal experience, and maybe, you know, I'm just not running into the pure Snake Eye players, but I think we're going to see maybe one other pure Snake Eye list on this entire top 100. And again, this person even just supplemented it, you know, with Fire King. One thing that I do remember noting about these pure Snake Eye lists is that they're on... Yeah, this one in particular is on Magician Souls. They're both on Birch, which I think with all the limits, if you're going to try to get away with pure Snake Eye, you need Birch because you just don't have that much to work with. And Chicken Game. I don't remember if the other one was on Chicken Game or not, but this card is actually a lot better than it might seem in pure Snake Eye. Chicken Game is basically an upstart goblin for deck thinning, but you can also send it with either Original Sin, which we play 2 of now, or Diabel. So that makes it better than upstart for, again, exactly Snake Eye. But either way, it does kind of show that pure Snake Eye is just not in a place right now where it's, you know, nearly as viable as Fire King Snake Eye. And I do think this is because of the Ash and Wanted, but namely the Ash limit. This hampered so much of the deck's long game that, again, the deck is more of an engine than its own actual deck now. It is reliant on something else like Fire King to be able to have, like, you know, a long game, which especially in a format like the Duelist Cup, where you're going to be playing against good players who know when to use their disruption to drag out the game, that is going to be very, very important. Can't wait to Calamity Lock and Centurion. Oops. Chicken Game and Upstart deck kind of rubbed me the wrong way. It's basically just like consistency, right? It's like, you know, your deck is at 37 cards and you don't have anything else you want to put in because your ratios are already good, so they're literally just there for deck thinning. Yep. Well, you know, as we were just saying, Ash to 1 is not just a consistency hit. It is also a ceiling hit. Because, and it's funny because, like, this is the thing that right now in the TCG, people are complaining most about Snake Eye, is that they have infinite follow-up. You can just summon Ash and search another Ash when you bring it back with Flamberge on your opponent's turn. But with Ash Limited, you don't necessarily have that. If Ash gets called by, that's especially brutal. And the Wanted to 1 is also not only a consistency hit, but a ceiling one, because now you are much, much, much less likely to be able to recycle, like, your Original Sin that you banished back into the deck for more plays, right? And even then, once you do that one time, that's the only time you're going to get to do that for the whole game. So, yeah, no, I think that Bonfire to 2 is definitely just a consistency hit and nothing else, right? Bonfire to 2 just makes this card show up a little bit less often. But these 2 cards getting hit definitely have more implications. On top of also being consistency hits, which I don't think are inherently a bad thing, but I understand that a consistency hit alone is not enough. It's like we were saying earlier, Ashen Wanted to 2 was not enough, but Ashen Wanted to 1, that is much more impactful. This person was on Super Polys in their Fire King Snake Eye build, which I think is very interesting. I just noticed that. That's cool. Neat tech. You definitely have the room in the extra deck. Like, you have like 3, sometimes 2, maybe like 3 flex spots in the Fire King Snake Eye extras, so definitely have the room. Alright, this person's Fire King Snake Eye, got Gamma, got Ulcanix. Was this person on Ulcanix? No, this was the first one that we've not seen been on Ulcanix. Flamberge, summon Oak, add Ash back to hand for the opponent's turn. I mean, yes, you can do that, but now there's one less body on the field, so you're still taking a noticeable hit to your board state as far as like your follow-up plays go, right? Especially if you have the Temple on the field, the Ashen and Oak in attack mode like super matter to not dying on your opponent's turn. There have been so many games on Pure Snake Eye where I win just by having all the little ones in attack mode with Temple up, because even if your opponent can run them over, like, they don't do enough battle damage to be able to lethal you. A pretty stock standard list. I mean, it is a 45 card, which is more than you would expect, but at the same time, that's not horrible or anything. Another Fire King Snake Eye. Oh, we actually have another one here that's not on Ulcanix. Wow. So, actually another one here that's not on Olkinix. These aren't just repeating, are they? Oh wait, that actually did repeat. I was like, wait, that list looks familiar. Okay, but that only repeated once, right? Yeah. Okay, I'm glad I caught that. Okay. Okay, this person on Fire King Snake Eye as well as Rescue Ace. Both builds look pretty standard. They are on Olkinix and 2 Princess. No Gamma. They are on Gamma in Rescue Ace. Yeah, I mean, just pretty standard looking list there. Okay, here's another Rescue Ace on Gamma. Oh, I should put Gamma in my Rescue Ace deck. I mean, it makes sense too, like I said. It also makes sense because isn't, yeah, so Turbulence is also an activated effect. So I can also see how, like, you would have no monsters on the field and you go to Special Turbulence. They might, you know, have a response and then you can Gamma, so... Yep, here's another one. Again, these aren't repeating, are they? No, I'm going to be paranoid about that. No, okay, they're not. Yeah, no, because this one's 43 cards. Gamma for Poplar Summon and OG Sin. Yep. Lots of opportunities for it to come up. Okay, here's more Snake Eye Fire King Snake Eye, however you want to say it. Triple Olkinix. Got the double Princess and the number 90 as well. SP tag. Yeah, if you SP tag out, that's another situation where you might not have monsters on the field and then go to use an effect and then Gamma can come up. Oh, this build's also on Gamma too. Ooh, now here's another pretty spicy list. This is Snake Eye Tearlaments, which is, and it's also got a Necroface package as well as a Thunder Dragon package. Wow, and Horus. This is another list that I have heard of before. I think I can actually build this list. I don't have Curious or Zeroboros, but that's a couple of URs. Salesman. Oh, no, I don't have these. I forgot this was a UR. Yeah, Salesman is another one here. Salesman in main. This card is like better than it might seem. Oh yeah, I played this card. It's in the Cyber Dragon Loner deck. And I think I had a game on the it's on the YouTube channel where I play against Snake Eye and like first thing I do on my opponent's turn is Salesman call IP. Because you can actually call extra. You can call anything with it. It's not like cross out. We have to have the card in your deck. You can call anything, even extra deck monsters. So that's cool. That's pretty cool. Salesman also a very interesting meta call for the Duelist Cup, or this, I mean, that, you know what I mean, this style of event, right? Because, like, as you come to, you know, see more and more of similar decks and maybe even in some cases recognize people, potentially, although I know people do like to hide their names under player and stuff, you know, Salesman becomes a lot more useful in that regard. But yeah, this is just like a good stuff pile deck, which again, I'm always in favor of. Hey, it's Trishula. We know Trishula. We like Trish, who was on Fire King Snake Eye. Trish's list is on Olkinix. He was playing Gamma. He played 2 Island, which is pretty interesting. But it makes sense too, because like Island is one of the cards that people will go after the most, right? Not only because it's your main searcher, but also because once they get rid of it, by destruction or banished, you can destroy all monsters. You know, you destroy all monsters on the field. So, Trish the GOAT, hell yeah, definitely. We love Trish on this channel. Yeah, 2 Promethean Princess, and we're playing the number 90 as well. This is a very solid list here. I'm noticing that most of the Fire King Snake Eye lists are also over 40 cards. Which, you know, a lot of them are playing Gamma, which would make sense too. Got puppet locked. He got puppet locked 4 times in 1 hour. That's brutal. Yeah, I know Trish got 3rd in North America, which is very, very close to top cut. So there's the top place finish for the World's Invite, right? Always rooting for Trish during these. And other friends as well, of course. Here's another Rescue Ace deck. This one on Fire Attacker, which is not played a lot of the time, or even most of the time, I don't think. He missed out by like 200 points. Oh, that's brutal. This one's already on 2 Bonfire. So yeah, like as you can see, 2 Bonfire for like everything but Snake Eye. This doesn't really do anything. Here we have another Purrely. This one's Ghost Trick Purrely. I've heard people say that Purrely to 2 makes the Ghost Trick version harder to play, but I don't know if that's what they were going for. I know Purrely to 2 also was a similar case, but again, maybe this could even just be a case of Konami, you know, trying to be like, all right, you know, we're done making new Purrely cards, so go play a different deck, go buy new packs. It's not something they've been shy about doing in the past. Here's a couple of different variations of Fire King Snake Eye. The big difference I notice off the bat is the build on the right has a Joel and Lockbird. This will be this is something that you'll sometimes see in the Duelist Cup style events like this, is that sometimes people will take 2 very slightly different builds of the same deck. Probably, you know, each one's have different texts for different meta calls. I noticed the one on the right is also on Triple Nibiru as well. So, you know, the one on the left also having the Imperms. Perhaps, again, just different matchups, different, you know, metas within those top ranks would warrant different builds. I think that's a smart thing to do. Here's another Rescue Ace build. This one with Retaliating Sea, which I've actually seen this card more often on ladder as well. I think as sort of a counter to the Snake Eye stuff, because it specifically summons itself when your opponent activates a spell card that includes an effect that special summons a monster. Although actually Rescue Ace has that as well. Purrely has that. Tearlament has Grief. No, is that the spell card's name? The normal spell? Oh, there might actually be a spell card that summons for like every archetype that's meta relevant right now. Actually, for all the major ones, even Mathmech has like Equation. So yeah, I definitely see why people are turning to Retaliating Sea. And of course, it's got that like macrocosmos effect as well, as long as it's on the field. And if they do go out of their way to get rid of it, then you simply search a Maxi. So yeah, Retaliating Sea I think is actually a pretty good call in this particular metagame. Again, I've come across that on ladder myself as well. I think that was for one of our videos, for our Infernoble Knight video. So funnily enough, from what I remember, and maybe since last I looked, there's been another one added. The only Pendulum deck that made top 100 doesn't even use the new Zark stuff. It's just good old-fashioned Endymion. Yeah, I am not surprised by this, though. Endymion is an extremely good Pendulum deck, and while Pen Magician tends to be a little bit more popular, I kind of wonder if Endymion just isn't the better between the two. Like, Endymion hasn't even gotten, like, any recent support. Like, I'm looking at this list, and, like, none of the cards in the main deck here are, you know, new. They do have Exceed the Pendulum in the extra deck, but, you know, it's not like Endymion. It's not even like they're using the Zark cards at all. Again, here, I mean, they have Astrograph Magician, but they don't have any of the new Zark stuff. They're just a bunch of spells and a bunch of Endymion Pendulum monsters, and that is good enough to get 31st in the World Championship qualifiers. We'll look at the extract here a little bit too. There's Promethean Princess again. Burp, 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 burp. I find it funny. I've seen some TCG players talk about banning Princess, and they're like, I've seen more than one person say, yeah, if you ban Promethean Princess, then you can bring back Electromite. And it's like, you can just bring back Electromite. This card's fine. I always forget this card is banned in the TCG. It's like, why? This card is, like, completely fine. But I guess they are just not the biggest Pendulum fans. Princess to reset Electromite. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a very good interaction. But, like, you know, that interaction is not why Promethean Princess is, like, broken. Promethean Princess is broken for many reasons, and resetting Electromite is not one of them, I don't think. Although it is very good. I'm not saying it's a bad interaction, not by any means. Another pretty standard Purrely list here. This one's very standard, actually. Not really much to say about that. More Purrely and Sky Striker. That's cool. It is playing some of the new cards. Okay, I didn't see Cyanos in the main deck, so I was like, maybe, but no, we do have not only Camellia, but the combined maneuver Engage 0 in the extra deck. So Sky Striker does end up getting a nice little boost for the from the latest pack there. So but yeah, I mean, especially Camellia, I'm not really that surprised to see here. The Mobilize Engage, or the Maneuver Engage 0, I am a little bit, because it's a little situational, but at the same time, I think that this is a good going second card, and just looking at the list, this is pretty clearly probably supposed to be a going second list here, right? I mean, they're on 2 Change of Heart, 2 Lightning Storm, the Thrusts. I would assume that you're electing to go second, and the Duster, right? But I didn't watch any of the games, so of course, so maybe not, but does this one have an animation? I actually don't know if it does. I wouldn't be surprised if it did, but I have not crafted this card, so actually I'm not sure if it has an animation or not. But yeah, Camellia, just such a good boost for Sky Striker, and again, the Engage 0 as well. This person's other deck was Purrely, pretty standard looking Purrely list here. Valmonica at 57. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. For a deck that, you know, again, like myself and a lot of other people were just assuming is going to be a lower rogue deck, we actually see Valmonica performing quite well, not only in community tournaments, but here in the Duelist Cup. 57th, again, not that bad at all. Yeah, wow, this is a pretty solid looking list here. I know people are going to be like, it's on Floodgates, but Valmonica is not a deck that's carried by Floodgates. It's a very, very good deck in its own right. The Shizu Shufflers are pretty good tech here, and the triple Droll and Lockbird I think is also quite interesting here. Triple Droll in this format, wow. Alright, here we have a Warrior Pile deck, particularly Makonkos and Infernobles. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty... I don't know, it's not like the most standard looking list, but if you're going to combine Makonkos and Infernobles, this is probably the best way to do it. And honestly, you know, I've heard people, like in my last Infernoble Night video, there were people who were saying that they hardly ever see Infernoble like by itself anymore, that it's usually paired with Makonko. There's just Goblinberg, just chilling, just vibing. So good. I love stuff like Goblinberg and Fireflint Lady and Plague Spreader Zombie, all these like random cards that fulfill these like very specific roles in the deck. It's cool. I like it. Isolde the deck, yeah, pretty much. Alright, got another Fire King Snake Eye list here. It's playing Gamma, it's playing Ulcanix, it's playing Double Princess. Seems to be the standard. Got Fluanderies here with lose 1 turn. I mean, yeah, you're never going to control any special summoned monsters, so definitely makes sense to rock the lose 1 turns. Double Dreaming Town as well, Book of Eclipses and Moons. Some cool text for the Fluanderies build here. Hey, it's April. I know that name. Alright, so of course we have some branded action here with the Gimmick Puppet lock. Again, as I said before, I do think Sanctifier just needs to go at some point. But, you know, again, for Master Duel, that just, on Ranked Ladder especially, it just doesn't come up as often. So, I mean, this is one of those cards that, like, I do think it should be banned, but if it's not, I'm not, like, losing sleep over it. So I guess in that regard, I guess I could say it's fine either way. I mean, it's not fine, but is it enough of an issue to warrant a ban? Maybe, maybe not. I guess we'll see. Needs the puppet to compete these tournaments? No, I don't think it needs it. And moreover, I don't like the non-game states that it creates. Like, if we don't like floodgates, then I think the same kind of mentality can be applied to Game Puppet Nightmare as well. Okay, this person was on both Fire King Snake Eye and Purrely. This Purrely build on Kaiser Coliseum. Speaking of floodgates. Ulcanix at 3, Gamma, double Promethean. See how many Purrely decks? Like I mentioned earlier, that Purrely had so many decks here. Here's another one. Here's our Math Mech, finally. Seeing some Cybers decks here. I think this has been the case in the last couple of Duelist Cup type events where there's just like that one Math Mech deck that sneaks in there. Hey, they're on the Singularity. Ah, I love it. I've always thought this is the way to play Math Mech. And I love this build overall. Love the deck, love the build. Here's a couple more branded lists, both on the Puppet Lock. I noticed that this build has super polys and this one doesn't. I'm sure there are other differences, but I'm not going to play spot the difference with that. Got another Ulcanix Gamma, Double Princess, Fire King Snake Eye build. Triple Ulcanix Gamma, Double Princess, Fire King Snake Eye build. That seems to be Ulcanix in general plus Gamma plus Double Princess seems to be very standard as we see that yet again here. Rescue Ace on actually exactly 40 cards. I think that's the first 40 card Rescue Ace deck we've seen. Oh, it's got this line. Okay, with the Reproticus and the Cybers Enchanter. I've seen talk of that build before. Okay, another Ulcanix Gamma, Double Princess Fire King Snake Eye list. Valance in 78th here. With everyone's favorite fossil Dyna. No Secret Village, though. I think Valance is a fine deck. Oh, it's got Laura's too. That's neat. Oh, here's another one of these. The Snake Eye Tearlament list. I think it's actually the same build as before. It's got the Horus stuff. It's got the double Necro face. It's got the Fairy Tale Snows. What do they call every fire deck? Fire King. Another Rescue Ace list here. No Thunder Dragon in this one. Oh yeah, look at that. No Thunder Dragon in this one. Good catch. Good call. Pretty standard looking Rescue Ace list. Hey, we got Agnister. The Jelly Beans. That's cool. With the Firewall Brothers. Neat. I love this deck. This is like Math Mech. Another one of those Cyber decks that always seems to like sneak in at least... Oh wow, we actually got two of them here. That's not a repeat, is it? Nope, those are two different people. On Agnister. Such a cool deck. I've maintained for so long that if we all had I Wish I Was Dead's knowledge about this deck downloaded into our brains, this would be a tier 3 deck, at least. More Fire King Snake Eye. Not on Ulcanix, but it is on Gamma. Only the one Princess. But no Ulcanix. So I think that's like 3 or 4 builds of it we've seen that on Ulcanix. So yeah, I think Ulcanix is optional, but optimal. I think it's a pretty good way to put it. This one is on Ulcanix with Gamma and Double Princess. Wow, a third Ignister here in the bottom section of the top 100 here. Again, I think this deck is really, really close to being tiered if it isn't already. It's just, again, that not enough people, myself included, really know the ins and outs of it. Purrely and Rescue Ace. I don't see anything too out of the ordinary here. Fire King Snake Eye. No Ulcanix. Double Ponix. And Double Princess. It had to show up at some point. Although, to be fair, I think that this is the least amount of stun we've seen in one of these top 100s, which I think shows that the hits over time are mattering when it comes to the stun hits, right? On triple Thunder King, triple Fossil Lina, the Necro Valleys. So here's the thing, I don't think they're ever gonna hit Necro Valley because of Gravekeepers, right? Like, a hit to Necro Valley would be a pretty unfair hit to Gravekeepers. So I think this one's probably gonna stay at 3. I can see Fossil Lina getting hit. I feel like Fossil Lina is like the poster child of stun at this point. Some people really want Macrocosmos to get hit and Dimensional Fissure. I'm not as big a fan of that as other kind of floodgates, because I think that banishing every card, I don't know, I think there's some room for that to be an interesting mechanic, but at the same time, there's not really that many, if any, decks at all that really super take advantage of it, so I understand why people are not really a fan of it. Again, we did already see hits to Kaiser Coliseum and Summon Limit, but I think if you wanted to further hit stun, I would say probably just hit Fossil Lina and Jowgen. Statues, I could see that too, yeah, definitely. Sprite, 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 ooh, we got Sprite sneaking in here. Tri-Sprite even, wow. Although, this is so weird. It's only got Kit, Nerval, Nimble Musabi, and Karos, and that's it. No fractals. Only a couple of the Link 2s in the air. So it's using a very minor Tri-Brigade engine. But very, very minor. It's extremely minimal. They have the Purrely Reese map as well. Oh, I wonder if that's to add the Nerval. I mean, it's gotta be, right? Oh, 0 attack. Is there any... Oh, the Beckoning Beast is also 0 attack. It's probably more to add Beckoning Beast than Nerval, if I had to guess, but you could do either. The first and only banned card in Rush Duel is Fire Statue. Is that true? That's funny. But yeah, that's a cool sprite list. Fire King Snake Eye, triple Ulcanix, double Princess, no Gamma. Here's our only other pure Snake Eye list, and it is in fact on triple Chicken Game, Birch, and double Original Sin. So, also another interesting thing is that both builds are on all Link extra decks, which I and also the majority of people who've been playing pure Snake Eye have just been on in Master Duel, like pretty much in the last couple of seasons, right? So I think it's funny that like TCG banned Baron and Borload when all that banning those cards did was help TCG players optimize their Snake Eye lists. Because, like, the Synchros are cool, but I do think an all-Link extra is the optimal way to go. So, like, it's no wonder that Snake Eye is tier 0 in the TCG. And also, another thing about the TCG is note that pure Snake Eye is so much better than Fire King in specifically the TCG. Why? Because they have 3 Ash and 3 Wanted. And when you have access to multiple Ash and Wanted, your follow-up in an endgame is so good that you don't need the Fire King stuff. You can just do the Snake Eye stuff, play a much more consistent build, and be good to go. But again, as we see here, the limitation of especially Ash has caused a notable impact to the Snake Eye strategy. The Snake Eye deck as a whole. Again, Snake Eye at this point is more of an engine than an actual deck. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's, like, especially the fact that they're both playing 3 Chicken Game. Like, I kind of had this issue when I was building Snake Eye for, like, a deck profile for Season 31. I was like, what am I putting in this deck? Like, what am I putting in this deck that's good? I kind of don't think the Kashtira's are it either. Like, I was kind of thinking about Horus cards, maybe? I don't know. But in any case, I think that the, yeah, I don't know. I think that Snake Eye is, I think that Ash and Wanted to 1 have definitely proven to be very effective hits. Even if Fire King Snake Eye, you know, is still as good as it is. again, I think we're at the point where it's Promethean Princess. That's the biggest issue here. And, you know, I think this deck gets curb. Because here's the thing. Fire King Snake Eye also, like, yes, it is the best deck, but it's also not as good as pure Snake Eye was when they had more than one Ashen Wanted. Like, I think even pure Snake Eye with 2 Ashen, 2 Wanted is better than Fire King Snake Eye. But again, once you limited Ashen Wanted, now without that follow-up that the deck was guaranteed to have every single time, now they actually need something else to help compensate for that. So, as far as variants go, this one is not on Ulcanex actually, which is another kind of point towards it being optional, and that's all we've got so far. So, I mean, I say that's all we've got so far, but again, that is like the vast majority of these WCS 2024 decks. So when we take into account these decks and the ban list, what do we think about the upcoming metagame, right? Like, I think that it's just more or less going to be the same of what we've seen so far, which in that regard, you know, some people might not be the biggest fans of. I don't know. I think the current format's fine. I think the current format is more diverse than it might seem. Like, I do think Fire King Snake Eye does still end up being, and is currently, of course, now, just the best deck. But, again, the gap between Fire King Snake Eye and everything else is so much smaller than it was between pure Snake Eye with multiple Ashen Wanted than everything else that I think that that ends up being more fine. I would still like to see a hit to the deck. I still think banning Princess is the way to go. I've seen some people say ban Original Sin. I can understand that. I don't even super disagree with it. But I think that Princess is the way to go. Because here's the other thing too, right? Like, we've already seen what Princess does for good fire archetypes. Like, do we really want to make fire... Like, Princess came out to make fire decks stronger, but ironically, if you keep Princess around, now you have to tone down fire decks. Otherwise, if any, like, good, not just decent, but good fire deck comes out again, you're just gonna have, like, more of a repeat of Princess making that deck even more broken than it already is. So, I think for the current form... And I'm not always even into the idea of future-proofing with banning, right? I don't think that alone is a good reason to hit a card, but I think the fact that Princess is currently a problem and also hinders future support is a reason, another reason to ban it. So I think that's pretty much all I kind of have as far as thoughts about that. Otherwise, again, like, yeah, Fire King Snake Eye is still going to be tier 1. Rescue Ace is still going to be tier 1. Purrely and Tier are still going to be probably 2 of the best top tier 2 decks. Pure Snake Eye, I think, is probably a tier 2 deck, but we'll get into that whenever we do the tier list video, probably on YouTube in the next couple of days. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, but more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.